Did you know that companies that clean their email list regularly see a significant increase in their engagement and conversion rates? That's no wonder, because over the years, you amass a ton of subscribers who are no longer engaged, who are hurting you, your company, your list, and your deliverability, your email sender reputation. So in this video, I'm going to go over the exact reasons why you need to clean your list, including all of the latest developments in deliverability and how Google and Yahoo are treating unengaged subscribers and your spam complaint rates. We're also going to go over exactly how to do it, and I'm going to show you a tutorial in Klaviyo. So by the end of this video, you'll be able to go into your Klaviyo account, create segments, create flows, segment your further campaigns, and maintain a very high deliverability score and a good sender reputation. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Kasey. I run Luck & Co agency. We are an agency that helps 7 and 8 and 9-figure e-commerce brands maximize their revenue from email and SMS marketing. We've been doing this for close to 5 years now, and that's the only thing we do. So that's our craft, that's our bread and butter. And on this channel, I share all of our tips and tricks for free. So if you're here, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Both of those things help me and my team a ton. And make sure that you check the description under this video. We always drop the latest interesting things that are going on in there. Sometimes I'm looking for different people to join our team, like project managers or strategists. Sometimes I'm launching new programs to teach people to become email strategists, and then I hire from the cohorts that I teach into our agency. So a ton of cool things going on. Make sure that you check the description under the video. And without further ado, let's get started. So first of all, let's talk about why you should be cleaning your list. Reason number one, you don't want to overpay for your Klaviyo or your email platform bill. Most email platforms charge based on how many profiles you have, or at least it's one of the factors that goes into your pricing plan. And you don't want to have email subscribers who are not reachable, essentially. They're not opening, they're not clicking, they're not adding anything to your bottom line, but bad deliverability scores. So you don't want to be paying for them. And that's, reason number one. That's convincing enough for a lot of store owners. The second reason, of course, is if you keep emailing your unengaged subscribers, people who are not clicking, not opening, you are diluting your engagement rates. So things like open rates and click rates, because these people are not clicking and not opening, your open rate and your click rates, they go down. And those are not just metrics for you. Those are not just vanity metrics. Those are also some of the metrics that ISPs like Google, Yahoo, essentially inbox providers are looking at to determine whether you are a good sender. So if your open rates keep going down and your click rates keep going down, that's a signal to the inbox providers that you are not sending good content, or, there's not content audience match. And so over time, they're going to deprioritize your content, maybe send it to spam, maybe send it to the promotions tab. So by sending to unengaged people, your engagement rates are already bad. But then if you continue doing that over time, they're going to become worse and worse and worse because of how inbox providers are going to perceive your content and how they're going to treat your content in your subscribers' inboxes. Reason number three to regularly clean your list is that when you have a clean, engaged list that doesn't include all of the unengaged and lapsed subscribers, that helps you make better decisions because you're looking at real numbers in your account. You're looking at the real numbers of people who are engaging with your content, and that helps you make more fine-tuned and correct decisions in your email marketing strategy. So hopefully all of these reasons are good enough for you to seriously consider cleaning your list. Before we get to the actual tutorial and me showing you how to do it in your Klaviyo account, I want to talk about a few misconceptions that some people have when it comes to cleaning your list, because it can get scary. As a result of this exercise that we're going to do together in this video, you might see that you have 5,000, 6,000, 20,000 people who are completely unengaged, who I'm going to recommend that you suppress from your account. That means essentially deleting 20,000 email subscribers. There's definitely a lot of resistance in store owners, in the brands that we work with, when we tell them that they need to do that. And so I would like to go over these misconceptions because they are going to come up in the process. So the first misconception about cleaning your list is that you're going to reduce your sales opportunities. And that is kind of logical when you think about removing people from your email list. However, that's not how it works. And the reason is that those people, the people who we're about to suppress or remove, are so unengaged that they weren't even sales opportunities to begin with. But instead, when you keep emailing people who are unengaged and you keep hurting your open and click rates, the inbox providers will now see you as not a good sender because your open rates and click rates are so low. That's a signal to inbox providers like Google and Yahoo that you're not a reputable sender. And so over time, that's going to dilute your open rates and click rates even more. Your unengaged subscribers are diluting your email open rates and click rates, and then inbox providers see your low rates and then they keep sending your emails to spam or promotions, etc. And so by trying to chase those sales opportunities that are not really even sales opportunities, you're reducing the chances that your actually good email subscribers will have their opportunity to buy from you. So this is definitely not the case. You're not reducing sales opportunities. You're actually improving and increasing your sales opportunities by maintaining a high deliverability score and increasing your chances of landing in the inbox in the primary tab for the good subscribers that you do have on your list. The second misconception is that cleaning your list and removing people from your list will prevent people from buying in the future. And that's definitely not the case. When somebody is unengaged on email, that might just mean that email is not an optimal marketing channel for them. They definitely can go back to your site and purchase from you again. Maybe they see you on social media, maybe they see a Google ad or a TikTok ad, they click, they come back to your site, they buy again. Just because you cleaned them off your list just means you're going to stop sending them emails, but that does not mean that they cannot buy from you ever again. So that's definitely not the case, and that should not prevent you from cleaning your list. And then finally, the third misconception is something that we hear from our clients a lot, is that, well, people might re-engage in the future. And while theoretically that is true, people might re-engage, the actual realistic chance is very, very low. And some people actually do get re-engaged in the future, but the percentage is so small. And the question is really, are you willing to risk the health of your entire email account for a chance that this unengaged subscriber might maybe re-engage at some point in the future? And I can tell you right now that that risk is not worth it. You should prioritize the engaged subscribers and you should prioritize the health of your overall account for deliverability, for the health of your account, and for future conversions as well. So now that we got that off our list, we can get to building, roll up our sleeves and create segments and flows that will help you clean your list in the best possible way, both, best for trying to giving your people a final chance to engage and maybe even buy from you, to suppressing them in the best possible way. If you've watched until this point, there's probably some value in this video, so if you haven't already done so, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Both of those actions really do help our team a ton. And right after you have done that, let's get to creating those segments. So first, let me kind of paint the big picture for you. The main player in what we're going to do right now is what we call a sunset flow. The full name of this flow is Sunset Unengaged Subscribers Flow, commonly referred to as the sunset flow. And that flow is triggered by a segment. If you've been watching my YouTube channel and you've watched other Klaviyo tutorials, you know that flows can be triggered by a metric or a segment. And so this flow is triggered by a segment. So the first thing we need to do before we build the flow is to create that segment that's going to trigger the flow. And essentially we're creating the segment of people who are unengaged, but whom we want to give the last opportunity to engage. The sunset flow is essentially doing that last-ditch attempt at re-engaging the unengaged subscribers, and then in the final email of the flow, letting them know that, hey, this is it, we're unsubscribing you. And so who are we going to send this flow to? That's what this segment is about. So let's get into a Klaviyo account and build that together. So you want to call this segment unengaged 90 days. And the 90 days mark is standard for the e-commerce industry, but you should not feel limited by the 90 days. It could be different for your business. It really depends on your business, on how often people purchase your products and how often you email people. The logic here is that we want to grab a segment of people who have been on our list long enough that they've had an opportunity to engage. However, not so long that we've given them a chance to become so unengaged that we won't even be able to re-engage them, because there's no point after a certain time to try to re-engage people. And 90 days seems to be that number for most brands. However, you might go a little bit lower, I think. I wouldn't go further than 90 days, really, because if somebody received a good number of emails in 90 days and then they opened 0 and clicked 0 of them, it's time to try to re-engage them. However, 90 days might even be a little bit too long for some brands. So I encourage you to think about this time frame for your brand and then decide what that is for you. And here's how we're building the definition. The first one is that we want to make sure that this profile is old enough, because if this profile was just created in your account recently, we should not even be looking at this profile. And I want this to be properties about someone created is at least 90 days ago. So at least 90 days or more, because if it's within the last 90 days, then that's probably a little bit too recent, and I don't want to try to re-engage them because I haven't given this person an opportunity to engage in the first place because they're new. Then we do the and connector. So and what someone has done or not done, received email is at least 5 in the last 90 days. Essentially, both of these first two definitions is about whether we've given somebody a chance to engage. So the first one is just the duration, the age of their profile, and the second one is how many emails they've received in this time frame. And the 5 that I'm using here, it's not a indication of what you should use. The right number is probably somewhere between 5 and 15. This really depends on how often you email your list and your segments, how often you send campaigns. If you're sending few campaigns, maybe you send only 1 a week, we would consider that very few campaigns. And so the number that you use in this definition is going to be lower. However, if you are sending many campaigns, maybe you're sending 1 every day, technically somebody could have received 90 campaigns, at least 90 emails just from campaigns in the last 90 days. In that case, you probably want to increase this number. So just think about what the right number is for you. And again, the logic is, have we given enough opportunities to this person to engage? The third definition, again, we're connecting everything with and connectors, and what someone has done or not done, opened email 0 times in the last 90 days. So they've been in our database for at least 90 days. They've received at least 5 emails, and they opened 0 out of those 5. And they clicked 0 out of those 5. Now that I think about 5 is probably pretty low, so I would go up to 10 if you email people often enough. Sorry, I'm jumping a little bit, but the fourth definition, and what someone has done or not done, clicked email 0 times in the last 90 days. So they opened 0 and clicked 0. And then the last part of the definition is, and if someone can or cannot receive email marketing, can receive email marketing. And if I delete this and then re-add this, look what happens. So if someone can receive email marketing, by default, Klaviyo adds this third line, because person subscribed. I actually want to delete that. So make sure that your setup looks exactly like what you can see on my screen right now. And this last part is really about constricting the segment just to people who are not yet suppressed. This used to be called differently in Klaviyo. It was actually called something like and are not suppressed, but they changed the way they word that, and that's how you need to do it now. But unless we use that, we're actually going to see people in our segment who are already suppressed, and that's not what we want. So that's how we define this segment. And from here, you're done. So you just need to click update segment, and you're going to see how many people in your account that are old enough, the profiles are old enough, they've received enough emails, and they clicked and opened 0 of those emails. So this is the moment of truth. This is when you find out just how many unengaged profiles you have in your account. Now that we've created the segment, we're ready to go on to the next step of this process and create the flow. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the Klaviyo template. So if you go into flows and then you click create flow at the top here, and then you search for sunset, you're going to see at least 2 templates. The first one is going to be customer versus non-customer. And that's the one we want because there is definitely a difference in how you talk to somebody based on whether they purchased from you or not when you're trying to re-engage them for the last time before unsubscribing them. So let's click here and I'm just going to name this Sunset YouTube so I can differentiate it in the future. I don't care about tags. You might want to add a tag depending on how you use tags in Klaviyo, but this is tagging your flow. So it's just for your operations and logistics. So don't worry about tags. The important part is the trigger. For the trigger, we want to choose that segment that we just created, unengaged 90 days. So click create flow. What they do is they do a different email one. So I call it sunset email one. It's different for people who have purchased versus people who haven't purchased in the past. And so that's what this conditional split is about. As you can see, if the person has placed order at least once over all time, they go down the yes path. And so they receive this email. If the answer is no, they have never placed an order with you before, they go down this path. And so they receive this email. And then as you can see, let's minimize this. Welcome 2 is the same for both paths, and then welcome 3. I keep calling them welcome 3s. I'm so sorry. Sunset 2 and sunset 3. I'm so used to being and talking about the welcome flows. Sunset 2 and sunset 3, they call them lapsed email 2, lapsed email 3. I don't really like the word lapsed in this context because lapsed often is used to refer to customers who lapsed, so customers who have purchased and haven't come back. We're talking about subscribers here, so that's different. And so in our flows, and I'm going to show you our setup in a moment, we just call them sunset 1, sunset 2, sunset 3, etc. So sunset 2 in this Klaviyo template is the same for both paths, and then sunset 3 is also the same. In our templates, this is our template, emails 1 and emails 2 are differentiated. We're doing different things for customers and non-customers. And then email 3 is the same for both paths. You can go either way. The important thing here is think about the content that's going to go into this flow. And here are some of the bullets or pointers for how to think about this content. Thing number 1, the goal of this flow is to re-engage subscribers. That's very important to internalize because what some people want to do with this flow is they want to go for the sale. And that's not the thing that you want to do here because it's very unrealistic that you're going to be able to sell to people who are this unengaged. We typically do see some conversions in the sunset flow, but they're minuscule. They're very, very low. They happen, but that's not the goal of this flow. The goal is try to get the person to at least open the email, better yet, click the email. Those are the goals. And so what are the different types of content that you can use to get the person to open or click? Let's start with the format. The format actually plays a big role in this flow. And the first thing that I recommend is addressing the emails, not from your brand, but from an actual person at your brand. So the sender name or from name, instead of being just your brand, it's going to be Melissa at brand name, Alyssa, Jane, John at brand name. We typically choose a customer support person. It could be the founder if you're a smaller brand, whatever works for you. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that all of these emails need to be plain text. And the reason is that plain text does a little bit of a better job of getting through the inbox filters. So there's a higher chance that a plain text email is going to end up in the primary tab as opposed to promotions tab. Less so these days because more and more brands are doing this and more brands are using plain text emails in their marketing. So inbox providers have caught up to the trend. But still, a plain text email still has higher chances than a designed marketing email of getting through the noise. So the first thing is the filters and the algorithms in inboxes. But the second thing is simply the format. The subscribers are still so used to seeing designed marketing emails that when they see a plain text email that really does look like a personal email, there's a higher chance they're going to read that email and pay attention. So getting through the noise. And then thing number 3, I think, I have lost count, is your copy. So the copy really needs to feel personal. Here it's all up to your copywriting magic. Are you able to grab the person's attention? Are you able to make them believe that you're really trying to understand why they have unengaged in the first place and find out what it is that would help them re-engage. And so the angles, like the general gist of how the email should go is the following. Hey, Kasey. Hey, name. Notice that you haven't engaged with our content recently. That's all cool. We understand. We don't want to overflow your inbox if that's not helpful. However, do let us know what would be helpful. We're here to listen. We do want to send you valuable, fun, entertaining, whatever that is, content. So reach back, reply, let me know what would be most helpful. Maybe give them options. Maybe keep it open-ended. And so that's the angle that you want to come in with. And that's usually email 1. Email 2 is actually taking something that you think is the best attempt at getting them to click and using that. And for some brands, realistically, there's nothing else you can offer to them other than a discount or maybe a new, very exciting product. And using discounts in the Sunset Flow is a little bit counterintuitive because we're not going for the sale. However, we have done that. We've offered discounts in the Sunset Flow. Again, that's not to go for the sale. It's just because for some subscribers, that's the only thing that's going to catch their attention. And the discount has to be pretty steep, again, because we're working with very unengaged people. So very low chance of getting their attention. However, for some other brands, there are lots of other content that you can offer that might grab their attention. If you're doing a lot of content marketing to support your products, maybe the blog post that is the most, has gained the most traction. Maybe you've had a TikTok that went viral and you want to plug that in as a hyperlink. Maybe you had a recent celebrity collaboration, influencer collaboration, whatever that is. So that's the content for email number 2. Let's read through some of these emails. I'm going to read the customer one to give you a sense of how you want to talk to the customers, and then you're going to do the non-customer yourself. So here's the customer one. Hey name, I'm Michelle from Brand Name. How are you? We want to thank you for trusting our small company with your health needs. We don't take your trust for granted, and that's why I'm reaching out. I noticed that you haven't opened our emails recently or reordered your supplements. Is there anything with your products that didn't meet your expectations? If so, let's change that. Hit reply to this email and tell me about your experience with our products. I'm here to help whether you have specific questions about your purchase or need help finding the right supplements for your wellness goals. All the best, Michelle, Customer Support Specialist. So that's sort of the angle that you want to come in with. And then for non-customers, of course, you're not talking about their recent purchase or their purchase, but you're just coming in as like, hey, notice that you subscribed but haven't engaged recently. What is it that would be most helpful? Here's our bestseller. Here's a 25% off. Go. And the important thing about these emails is sometimes we're asking for a reply. It's important to have a link in those emails, even if it's just a hyperlink to your brand name or like your brand, because we want people to click. If there is no links, people don't have anything to click. It's kind of easy to overlook that because you're so personal, you're trying to get people to reply to these emails, and then you forget to include the link, and then your click rate is 0. Your unengaged segment is not reducing or decreasing, and that's why. And then email 3, so you have an idea, that's where you have to kind of walk a fine line between being clear that you're removing people from your list, but also be soft and kind about it, because we have received feedback from brands who have heard back from their customers and subscribers who were not pleased with how we wrote that email. And they said, hey, I'm a customer, or like, I actually like your brand and you're just unsubscribing me now. What's up with that? And so to avoid that, we have finessed this formula for this email so that it sounds something like this. Hey, Kasey, or hey there, I'm Michelle, the Customer Support Specialist at the Brand Name. Since I haven't heard from you, let's take a break from our regular emails, okay? From now on, we'll only reach out about big sales or launches we think that you'll be interested in checking out. But if you stick around, we promise we'll make it worth your time and your inbox. You'll get expert content about getting the most benefits from our supplements, and you'll be the first to learn about our special deals and sales. And then a hyperlink that says, sure, I'll stay, so that people who do want to receive more than just the huge launches and huge sales, they have a way to indicate that to us. And then this hyperlink can lead to the homepage. It can lead to a collection page. That doesn't matter. What matters is that they click, because that's what we're tracking in our flow with our flow filters, which I'm going to show you in just a moment. So that's email 3. So we've talked about the from name, subject lines. That's the thing that we haven't talked about. The last thing about content in this flow is I want you to be a little bit more adventurous, risky, and or aggressive with the subject lines. And the reason is that the reason these people haven't engaged in the last 90 days is because the subject lines you've used in those 90 days have not worked for them. So this flow is the space for you to go a little bit crazy with subject lines. Obviously, don't do anything that you will regret. That's going to be too clickbaity. You should be more on the risky side. So do something unexpected, do something that drives curiosity, something that is extremely short, like hey, something that is very informal, because that's part of the strategy here. You're trying to break through the noise. You're trying to get noticed. You're trying by all means possible to get this person, this subscriber, to open your email. Now that we've talked about the content, let's go back to the flow structure and talk about some of the settings that go into this flow. The first thing that I want to notice are the flow filters. So this is the Klaviyo template that you're going to start with. They offer you 2 flow filters. Opened email 0 times since starting this flow and clicked email 0 times since starting this flow. These should make sense, right? If somebody clicked or opened since starting this flow, they should be excluded from this flow because the goal is to get them to open or click. So as soon as they opened or clicked, they should be removed from this flow. That all makes sense. However, I think that that's not enough, and that's only the starting point. Here are the 3 other filters that we have added to our sunset flows. The first of the additional filters is placed order 0 times in the last 90 days. And the reason we have this flow filter is because this has come up in our experience where, we've started without this filter. And then we've heard from the brand who has heard from a customer who said, hey, I just received this email saying I'm unengaged, but I just purchased from you 2 weeks ago. And so it is rare, but it is possible that somebody has been on your list for a long time, has received a lot of emails, opened and clicked 0, but then purchased just 2 weeks ago. And because the sunset emails are designed to break through the noise, that's the one email that they have opened and seen. And so, of course, that experience is not optimal where they don't feel like they're unengaged. They just purchased from you. And so that's why I recommend having this filter. Again, it's not a common occurrence that somebody who has purchased in the last 90 days and they are so unengaged, but it happens. And so it's better to have this filter. The next one is placed order 0 times since starting this flow. Because if you were able to get them to open or click and then they purchased, they will be excluded from the flow anyway by the first 2 filters. However, it is possible, again, it's rare, that they opened and clicked 0 times, but they purchased since starting this flow. And you don't want to continue sending them emails from the sunset flow. So you don't want them to receive email 3, sunset 3, after they've purchased. So that's why you exclude them from this flow. And then the final filter, very similar. If somebody started at checkout, that's also a high intent action that you actually want to switch to sending them abandoned checkout emails probably and not continue sending them sunset emails. So that's the reason that we have this flow filter. And then in terms of timing the emails, how often do you want to send? What's the time delay in between these emails? Here I would go with the Klaviyo template. I think it's totally reasonable. 3 days after email 1, 4 days after email 2, that all makes sense. Then we wait 5 days and then we update their profile property. And this is where we mark their profile with true unengaged. And the Klaviyo template here suggests the unengaged custom property, right? We create a new custom property. Unengaged equals true. What we do is we add also a custom property that's called completed sunset flow. So it's a little bit more descriptive because unengaged can mean a lot of things. Maybe they're just very open-ended. Completed sunset flow is very straightforward. You know exactly why that profile property is on the property. So whoever is managing the account in the future, maybe the person who didn't create the sunset flow, will know what they're looking at when they see this profile property. And then the second thing that we do is we add this conditional split right before we add that profile property. That's kind of another way to filter out anybody who has clicked. I think the flow filter is already doing that anyway. So if somebody clicked they're going to get skipped from the rest of the steps, including this profile property update step. However, as an extra step, it doesn't hurt. We just like to get anybody who has clicked up to this point to exit the flow, and then we don't apply the profile property, completed sunset flow, to those people. So I think that's kind of it in terms of the flow structure. We still have some work to do, but you're just doing super great job. This is the hardest part. Of course, you still need to write the emails, but hopefully the examples that I've shared are helpful. And now that we're done with this step, let's move on to the next step, which is another segment. Okay, so your flow is done. You activate the flow, obviously. I haven't covered that, but once you're done with the flow, you activate it, and then you probably want to add past profiles to the flow as well. So Klaviyo used to call this back populate a flow. Now they call it add older profiles to the flow. So do that, and then let the flow run for some time, maybe 30 days, maybe a little bit more. Once your sunset flow has been active for some time, you will start accumulating those people with that profile property where the completed sunset flow equals true. So what do we do from there? We now need to build a segment of people who have gone through the sunset flow, still haven't engaged, and now we have a decision to make. Are we suppressing those people? Are we unsubscribing them? Or what are we doing with them? Before we get to that decision, let me show you how to build that segment. So you want to call this segment sunset, and then we like to add suppress in parentheses, and I'm going to show you why, because you'll want to suppress or exclude. That's another way to do it. Write exclude in parentheses. You'll want to exclude it from campaigns. That's why we write that. And so here's how you build the segment. The first definition is properties about someone, and you want to bring up that property that you added at the end of the flow. So for us, it's completed sunset flow equals true, is true. If you've gone with the Klaviyo template, for you it would be properties about someone unengaged equals true. So that's the first thing, because we just first want to grab those people who've completed the sunset flow. The second thing we do here is we do what someone has done or not done, and then we do clicked email 0 times in the last 90 days. This is just a double check, because technically somebody could have gone through the sunset flow, not engaged, so we applied that profile property to them. And then since that happened, they went back and opened one of the older emails, or maybe they received a newer email and they opened and clicked that. So anybody who has clicked since getting that profile property added, we actually don't want to suppress them because they are now re-engaged because they clicked. So what that they've done it after the sunset flow was done? What matters is that they clicked. So we exclude them. So clicked email 0 times in the last 90 days. Same logic for opens. So opened email 0 times in the last 90 days. And then the last part of the definition is if someone can or cannot receive email marketing, can receive email marketing. And then again, same thing. There's that additional filter because person subscribed that Klaviyo adds automatically. You want to remove that. There's a whole discussion that needs to be had about Apple privacy opens and bot clicks, which have become a thing now. All of those things are developing quickly, especially the bot clicks. The Apple privacy has been a thing for a while. There are different ways to approach it. It's something that you want to take into consideration. As you can see, we just do opened email overall. We're not accounting for Apple privacy here because it's kind of tricky. We can't know for sure, right? Because Apple privacy equals true, that means Apple is opening emails for them. However, within those people, there are true unengaged people in there as well. And then there are people who are actually opening emails. So it's just too murky. We've kept it this way for now. A lot of things are happening with the bot clicks these days. And so just keep in mind that the sunset flow and the segments we're creating both to trigger the flow and the segment that's resulting from the sunset flow, all of those things are evolving. And if they change, I'll try to add notes to the video description on YouTube because I want you guys to have the most up-to-date information. But I didn't want to just skip that. But these definitions are what we're using right now, and they've been working well for us. So that's what I recommend. So I got this segment now. So once you're done, you've created it the way I'm showing you here. click update segment and you're gonna see how many profiles you have in your account that are truly unengaged. So they've gone through the sunset flow, you tried to engage them and they haven't. So this is the moment of truth. You're looking at the number of people who are potentially going to be removing from your account. Once you have this segment in your hands, what you need to decide is how often you're going to clean your list, because it's not done automatically. You need to manually suppress these people. What we do is we suppress after each major sale, big sale, or at least twice a year. And the thinking and the philosophy, the logic behind this is that a huge sale, such as Black Friday and Cyber Monday, is the true last attempt to try to re-engage the sunset segment. So even though they have gone through the sunset flow and they still didn't open or click, the thinking is, well, Black Friday is a special case. When everything is 50 or 70% off, maybe that's when they will re-engage. And, most brands want to do that. They want us to wait until Black Friday, include the sunset segment in campaigns for Black Friday. And if then they still are unengaged, then suppress them. And for many brands, Black Friday is one huge sale, and then Memorial Day often is another one, or the brand's birthday or 4th of July or whatever it is. If you have another comparable sale to Black Friday, I would use that. Or just, another random time in the year where you just clean your list at that time, because I wouldn't just do it once a year unless you're a small brand. If you're a small brand, you can do it once a year. If you're a bigger brand, I'd recommend doing it twice a year. So what do you actually do when you do want to clean your list? Before we do that, here's what you need to do with your segments. When you send your campaigns, what you need to do is you need to actually exclude the sunset segment from your campaigns. Here's a sample campaign in Klaviyo, and Klaviyo lets you choose the segments you are sending to, so you're including, and then segments you don't send to, so you want to exclude. It's optional, but we always add segments that we're excluding, and that's why we have that suppress or exclude in parentheses, because it's, as you can see, we're excluding a bunch of segments and it's easy to forget. So we just type exclude or suppress, and because that's in the name of our segments, they all come up in the drop-down menu, and so it makes that easy for us. And so as you can see, the sunset segment is excluded. And you do that on all campaigns, every single campaign up to Black Friday or up to that big sale. When that big sale happens, you don't exclude that, or maybe you even actively include the sunset segment in the send. You do it probably just once, maybe twice, that's the max. And then after the sale is done, there will be people who will re-engage from the sunset during a huge sale like that. And you can run your analytics later to see just how many people. And maybe you decide, hey, it's not actually worth it to send to that segment, even on Black Friday. Let's just clean 4 times a year. And that's a very healthy decision if you're looking at the numbers and you're deciding that's what makes most sense for your brand. The final step of this video is actually suppressing those profiles. So the first thing you want to do is you want to export. You want to export the sunset segment. So you need to click into the segment, and then at the top over here, you're going to have export segment to CSV. So you do that. The only property that you need is email. So you export. Once you have the CSV file, you go into profiles, you go view suppressed profiles, and then you click import. And then you import your CSV file. And once this is done, that's it. Those people are going to be suppressed. And it's important for you to understand what it means that the profiles are suppressed. And what it means is that you're not able to email them through Klaviyo, even if you really want to. So even if somehow they made it into your campaign inclusion segment, or they triggered a flow, they won't receive the emails, because by default, you just cannot send an email through Klaviyo if a profile is suppressed. They can resubscribe if they go back to your site and they submit your pop-up again, or maybe they start the checkout form again. They can totally rejoin your list on their own. For the longest time, you weren't able to re-import somebody who was suppressed. That might have changed recently. I think I've seen something about that, but don't quote me on it. But in the past, if you're doing an import, you can't re-import somebody who had been previously suppressed. But again, might have changed. So that's what it means to have those people suppressed. And you should celebrate this because they were unengaged. They really didn't want to hear from you again or anymore. And so you suppress them. Your account is now healthier. You're paying for fewer profiles. By the way, if you're an auto upgrade, or like even if you're not an auto upgrade, Klaviyo's not going to like downgrade you automatically. So you need to go back and see if you need to downgrade your plan. You actually actively need to go and do that. And if you now qualify for a lower plan, go and downgrade yourself, and now you're paying less for more effective email marketing. Another important thing, we've only talked about email here, but all the similar principles apply to SMS marketing as well. And there's an even bigger reason to clean your SMS list. And that's because sending SMS messages is much more expensive than sending email messages. And so if you're amassing a lot of SMS subscribers who are becoming unengaged, you should definitely clean that list as well. If you are not doing SMS marketing yet, but you want to, I definitely recommend Klaviyo SMS because you do want to keep your email and SMS on the same platform. That's just going to be the biggest game changer for these two channels. Just keep them on one platform. That's the most important thing. And for that, because I love Klaviyo for email, their SMS product is excellent. I recommend Klaviyo SMS. There's going to be a link in the video description to start with Klaviyo SMS if you haven't yet. And there's a ton of tutorials, or a good number of tutorials on this channel for SMS marketing. So if you're new to it, if you're figuring it out, go watch it to decide if it's a good fit for your brand. Otherwise, if you watched this far, thank you so much. I'm glad that this content was so helpful. Please go in the comment section and say, Kasey, I watched until the end, and then I'm going to send a lot of heart emojis as a reply to you. The comments definitely help push these videos on YouTube, and that in turn helps us create more free content for beautiful people like you. So thank you so much, and I will see you in the next video.